As we enter into a new year, let's go through the major scientific discoveries made in 2021. COVID 19 dominated science coverage again in 2021 and deservedly so. But other key discoveries and achievements marked the year in science too, and they deserve more attention. Let's take a look at top 10 science stories from the world of science. I'm Nidhi Kumar and you're watching Science Time. The year began and will end with researchers racing to learn about variants of the SARS-CoV-2 coronavirus that are spreading across the globe. COVID-19 vaccines largely held up to variants that emerged in late 2020 and early 2021, which would later be named Alpha, Beta, Gamma, Delta, and now Omicron. Early data indicate that Omicron breaches vaccine immunity significantly, but that additional vaccine doses, booster shots, improve the situation. And last year, scientists also developed 2 mRNA COVID vaccines in record time. India crossed the 100 crore vaccine dose mark on October 21st, a milestone in its fight against coronavirus, overcoming logistic challenges and hesitancy as healthcare workers climbed mountains, crossed rivers, and walked deserts to jab adult Indians against the dreaded virus. It took India 9 months to administer 100 crore jabs, with 74% of the adult population getting the first dose, and more than 31% were fully vaccinated on October 21st. NASA took a huge step forward in exploring the red planet after the rover Perseverance landed safely on Mars in February. Scientists outfitted the vehicle with an ultralight helicopter that successfully flew in the thin Martian atmosphere, a toaster-sized device called MOXIE that successfully converted carbon dioxide to oxygen and sampling elements that successfully collected rocks from the planet's floor. All of the achievements will lend themselves to a better understanding of Mars and how to investigate it in the future. In its first comprehensive assessment of climate science in 8 years, the United Nations Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change (IPCC) painted a brutal yet clear picture of Earth's health. The recorded droughts, wildfires and floods already devastating communities worldwide will only get worse if governments don't act to halt greenhouse gas emissions. The planet has already warmed by 1.1 degrees Celsius compared with the average in 1850 to 1900, according to a report, and is likely to breach 1.5 degrees Celsius within a decade at current emission levels. If it reaches 2 degrees of warming, the upper limit government pledged to avoid in 2015 Paris Agreement extreme temperature events that previously occurred only every 50 years will occur every few years, increasing the likelihood of death and destruction. Meanwhile, researchers were able to directly link a record-breaking heat wave in North America's Pacific Northwest and epic floods in Germany this year to human-caused climate change, the latest research added to a growing list of climate attribution studies. Well, story number 5, the US Food and Drug Administration approved the first new drug for Alzheimer's disease in 18 years, exciting people who are affected by the devastating condition but angering some researchers. The drug's developer, biotechnology company Biogen in Cambridge, Massachusetts, showed that the antibody drug can clear clumps of amyloid beta protein, which some scientists think is the root cause of Alzheimer's, from the brain. But the treatment didn't have a straightforward cognitive benefit in clinical trials, despite an advisory panel overwhelmingly recommending against the drug's approval. The FDA did so on 8 June, sparking advisors to resign and later a federal investigation of the decision. Well, in story number 6 this year, the famous billionaires behind the space tourism race completed successful missions that boosted more than just their ego. They put a host of civilians in space. Early in July, billionaire Richard Branson and his employees flew just above the boundary of a suborbital flight in Virgin Galactic's first fully crewed ship. But Virgin Galactic did delay commercial missions until at least late next year. Just over a week after Branson's mission, the world's richest person, Jeff Bezos, completed Blue Origin's first crewed suborbital flight with the youngest and oldest travelers to reach space. In October, his company Blue Origin repeated the feat when it took Star Trek actor William Shatner up. A month before that, a crew of 4 became the first all-civilian crew to circle the Earth from space in Elon Musk's SpaceX Dragon capsule Resilience. More ambitious firsts for civilians are in works. In 2022, SpaceX plans to send a retired astronaut and 3 paying passengers to the International Space Station. And beyond that, Bezos announced Blue Origin hopes to deploy a private space station fit for 10 called Orbital Reef sometime between 2025 and 2030. And in story number 7, in October, the World Health Organization approved the first vaccine against malaria. The approval was not only a first for that disease but also for any parasitic disease. The moment was 30 years in the making, as Mosquirix, the brand name of the drug, cost more than $750 million since 1987 to develop and test. The new vaccine fights the deadliest of the 5 malaria pathogens and the most prevalent in Africa, and is administered to children under 5 in a series of 4 injections. Experts say that the vaccine is a valuable tool that should be used in conjunction with the existing methods such as drug combination treatments and insecticide-treated bed nests to combat the deadly disease. And in story number 8, since it's arrived on the scene, the gene editing technique CRISPR has been touted as a game changer for treating diseases, but making that dream a reality for many diseases will require researchers to successfully deliver the CRISPR Cas9 machinery into a person's body and prove that it safely and effectively edits only the genes it's targeting. On 26 June, Intellia Therapeutics of Cambridge, Massachusetts and Regeneron of Tarrytown, New York published clinical trial results demonstrating just that. The biotechnology firms tested their treatment on 6 people with a rare disease called transthyretin amyloidosis, which causes abnormal buildup of a misfolded protein in the body's organs and tissues. All of the participants experienced a drop in the levels of misshapen protein, and 2 who received a high dose saw protein levels drop by 87% on average. And in story number 9, almost a year after scientists released tests showing the success of mRNA vaccines in fighting COVID, Merck released promising interim test results from a phase 3 trial of an antiviral pill. On October 1, the pharmaceutical giant presented data that suggested that molnupiravir could cut hospitalizations in half. 10 days later, the company submitted results to the FDA in hopes of gaining emergency use. In mid-November, the UK jumped ahead of the US and granted approval for the treatment. By late November, advisors to the FDA recommended emergency authorization of the pill, though it was shown by this time to reduce death or disease by 30, not 50%. The drug should be taken 4 pills a day for 5 days, starting within 5 days of the appearance of the symptoms, and it works by disrupting SARS-CoV-2's ability to replicate effectively inside a human cell. Molnupiravir isn't the only viral drug with positive results. In November, Pfizer announced its antiviral pill, Paxlovid, which was effective against severe COVID. If approved and distributed fast enough, the oral antivirals can be prescribed in places like Africa, where vaccines have been lacking. And we now take you to story number 10. The James Webb Space Telescope, the most powerful space telescope ever constructed, was successfully launched on 25th December. NASA, the Canadian Space Agency and the European Space Agency started working on the craft in 1996, and it was expected to be launched in 2007 and come in at a cost of $500 million. The craft has been delayed numerous times, including several times this year, and the final cost was more than $9 billion over the budget. But many scientists say the telescope is worth the wait and the money, as it will be able to do things that the Hubble Space Telescope can't. It will help astronomers discover how early galaxies formed, detect possible signs of life on other planets, and watch the birth of stars. With the date of the launch so close, the astronomy community is extremely excited, though their wait won't be quite over. It will take the telescope 6 months in space to prepare itself to work. And we hope that the new year will bring more scientific discoveries from our scientists that will solve problems affecting humanity. We wish you all a scientifically enriched 2022. Keep watching India Science.